Hello, I'm Brendan Crowley, President of County Wexford Chamber.
And I'm Emma Dunphy, CEO of County Wexford Chamber. You're now listening to County Wexford Chamber Business Podcast.
Today we're going to be talking to Ronan McGrath and John Casey from
McGrath Quantity Surveyors.
McGrath Quantity Surveyors, who are lucky enough, lucky is probably the wrong word, but put a bit of effort into winning two awards at the recent County Wexford Chamber Awards, when the lads picked up the award for Operational Excellence and also for Service Industry of the Year.
Yeah, so where do we begin? I suppose with Ronan, first of all. You might just tell us a little bit about McGrath Quantity Surveyors.
Okay, so McGrath Quantity Surveyors is 10 years old this year. We're, as the name suggests, we're quantity surveyors and project managers. And I suppose what we have been doing over the last 10 years is we've been providing service, cost management and project management to contractors, to developers, particularly developers in the last number of years, and to end users as well, homeowners, building owners, and all through the construction industry in Ireland and in the last year into the UK as well. And I suppose the last few years has seen a big rise in developments in housing estates and apartment blocks. So a lot of that has been really our specialty, and residential particularly has been our specialty.
Great. And how's business now? Like, it must be struggling and increasing.
Yeah, it's funny. We're like the bankers were back in 2008, 2009. Everything is our fault. We're quantity surveyors. The prices of everything is going up, and it's all our fault. Yeah. But business is good. It's been very good. We've been really focusing on our business development and our operations over the last number of years. And, expanded into the UK was part of that plan. They're doing an awful lot more in terms of developers and increasing the size of the schemes that we're working on, from, one-offs to 10 units, 100 units, 200 units, 400 units. It's all about building that up. So business is very good. There is challenges. Staffing is a challenge. Housing the staff that you do manage to get is a challenge. But if there wasn't a housing crisis, we wouldn't be so busy and need these guys. So
that's it, exactly.
It's a kind of a catch-22 situation.
But you have quite a big team up there, Ronan.
Yeah, we have a big team now. So we've, especially now, we've hired some graduates recently. So we have a team of 11 in Ireland, and we have another QS then as well in London. Well, 1.5 QSs. Yeah. In London as well, so that's going to grow. It's going to grow in the UK, and it's going to grow in Ireland over the next 2-3 years as well.
Yeah, and certainly one of your top performers joined with you today, Mr. John Casey.
No doubt about it. Yeah,
we're always well used to seeing John at Chamber events. Fair play to him, great supporter of Chamber over the years. I suppose it's interesting, like, that you've moved into London in the last while, and one of the things, I hear so much now that it's very difficult to price anything at the moment because of prices going up. That tenders, etc., are only good for a short period of time. Is that the same in the UK, or is the experience slightly different?
It is slightly different. It's the same, but it's different. There's an answer. So they have the same problems as we do. A lot of our supply chain actually comes through the UK. So with some suppliers, we're getting what's left over from the UK, so they get it first. Luckily with Rosslare Harbour, that's improved for us, coming directly from Europe. But they seem to be just a much bigger market than us. So, for example, there's 10 million people in London, there's 5 million in Ireland, and that's just one city. So they just have a much bigger appetite over there. It's a much bigger pie. So they're going to get the first bits of supply, and then we're going to get it next. So they have a huge supply chain there. So it is quite similar to the same problems. Things are going up all the time, but I think it's a little bit more extreme here than it is over there, where we're just that little bit more volatile than they are, just with their buying power.
Do you think it'll settle down here?
People stop me in the street and ask me that, so I'm glad I get to address this to a few more people at the one time. So I think it's going to settle down-ish this year. It'll still keep going. Prices rise every year, but just recently they've been rising, once a month. Basically, it's like the stock exchange in our office at the minute in New York. It's just, I'll have a conversation now. The prices have probably gone up by the time I get back to the office. I mean, that's the reality of it. So it'll probably keep going until next summer, until it kind of reaches a point where it plateaus a little bit. The facts are that we still need a lot of housing to be built. So that's driving it as well.
But I'm not you'll have to forgive me now, I'm not an expert on stock exchanges or commodity prices or that, but I do kind of read the papers, and I read recently how, as the Americans would call it, lumber was losing value because there's so much stocks of timber that had been built up and not used. And like, should that kind of lead into a positive situation for us? Because I believe, last year it was very, very difficult to buy, even to price timber. So should things like that kind of help us?
You'd be hoping so, but again, the problem then is shipping is expensive. So, every which way you're trying to fix the problem. I looked into that as well for some of our clients to ship it from other parts of Europe, and Russia is a big supplier of timber. They're cut off now as well. I mean, every which way you look at it is an issue. So look, it could help. There's more than just the supply issue that's a problem. The supply issue is one arm or one branch of a problem tree. And even like there was bad weather in the Gulf of Mexico, the American Gulf of Mexico last year, and they make petrochemical products there, and that affects the price of insulation. Yes. So I mean, you know what I mean. The Suez Canal we've been shut down for a couple of days. I mean, it's just been bizarre scenarios that are that are contributing to the situation. So that was one of them.
So if you were a warrior, you wouldn't sleep at night, because every time you think one problem is solved, the next problem opens up. Can I ask you actually, you entered two of the different competitions. You were successful in two of the categories in the County Chamber Business Awards. And a lot of businesses during COVID, kind of when things went a little bit quiet, took that time to reorganise and to look at their own processes and that. Did you do that during COVID? Like, what do you attribute your success in the most recent competition to?
Well, I suppose our story started about 3 years ago when we realised that every management system that we came up with, we outgrew it too fast. So it was fine with 3 people. We came up with a management system, then 6, and we came up with a management system for that, and we kept outgrowing it. So we needed a management system, and John was very positive in terms of operations and having things running smoothly. And I suppose ISO came along then, and that was a management system we wanted to put in place and be absolutely dedicated to it. And we were lucky to have John, who was absolutely relentless with that and got us the ISO. So we were in the process of that through the pandemic. And again, we stayed going through the pandemic. We didn't close our doors despite the industry being closed. So again, there was quiet months that we managed to have a little bit of time to focus on that and to focus on training. But it isn't something that we could do in a month or in 2 months. It's something that has to be done, continuous, to be committed to continuous improvement. It's brought up at the meeting every single week. Monday morning meeting, continuous improvement is mentioned. And that's operations, that's operational excellence, is that it has to be there. But again, the pandemic, I don't know if you have to ask John if it helped us, if it helped us or not. But I think it wasn't just a process that happened by accident. It was something that we very purposely had to do over the last 3 years.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say, like ISO, it is time consuming at the start, and it does take a bit of time to put in there, and then your surveillance audits and all of that kind of stuff. But you just mentioned it earlier that it is, like, if you use it properly, it is a good business management system. So you've kind of obviously adopted that approach to your...
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's and again, John has been relentless in implementing it, and but again, it is when we first started it. Staff engagement was a huge part of that, and we said, yeah, look, we'll probably get 1 or 2 suggestions off the staff. We had waves from the staff of suggestions, and even little small actions like blinds, chairs, monitors, you name it. There was the small actions that the simple things, holidays, how we were booking holidays. Those things came up first before we even got into the crux of running the business. And then we really started to see the wood from the trees on that, just even simple things like, if we had an extra monitor, then certain tasks would be faster. That would save 5 minutes a day, 6 surveyors a day, half an hour a day. That's 120 hours a year. And it all adds up in an organisation, and it all gives a better service, and it all gives, adds to the bottom line. And that, it's the small details, and John is very detail orientated, and he was the ideal person to deal with this. And it's the small details that add up to the big picture, and it was 1,000 small details that we had to get right. We didn't even realise how many there was. It
makes you look at yourself. Well, at your business, doesn't it?
It makes you look at how we do it in our processes and our approach, and a lot of things, how we approach our customers, how we approach our staff, and how we communicate with the staff. There was a lot of things we had to look at and reimagine ourselves, and there was a lot of things we got wrong as well. We thought we were doing the right thing, we did it with good intentions, and it didn't work. We changed the management structure at one point. We had it was just me and John. We got somebody else as part of the management structure, and didn't work. And we tried it twice and it didn't work. So, now we've learned that the management structure, and we've changed our approach to that. But that's all part of the process, that you're continuously improving, you're continuously looking for new ways to innovate, and that, you apply those on a weekly basis.
Do you find that it's hard to kind of give over a bit of control? Like, everybody likes to be in charge. So some systems, like business management systems, require that little bit of trusting other people and letting them have a little bit of control.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, certainly. But see, everything was in my head. Everything lived in my head. So John had to kind of crack my head open and put that down on paper and communicate that with everybody. And he did a great job of that. But it was certainly, I had to give away a lot of what I would have done myself, and a lot of what I would have been in control of. But again, that's about setting up the documents and setting up everything that I can click into something and at a glance see the answer I'm looking for. So I don't need to be in full control of it. I can check it out at a glance. So it's about that as well.
Good system.
But again, look, John has been there a long time. So John's a part of the company a long time, and he knows the company very well. So it's easy handover in that situation.
Just John looks like you're going to inherit something here, but.
It's always important to keep investing in your people and your staff. But just you might outline just some of the training or development programs that you have for employees.
At the moment, we've started with Shane Dunphy from Sensible Safety. We use Shane for our in-house training, so it's manual handling and our economic assessments. Also, we do the Safe Pass, and we have some lads going on Cubic training courses. So that's the software that we use for doing the QS work, and that sort of things. The guys, when we take in new students and stuff, and new quantity surveyors from different countries, they bring a wealth of knowledge and new experience, and that you can't buy that anywhere. It's like bringing in a wise man. You can't show somebody wisdom. You can't train them. They have to have it. They either have it or they don't have it. And for us, we see it in potential, especially when we're interviewing new people now. And through the ISO system, and I can mention the ISO system only came through the Chamber of Commerce. We got Eugene Daly and Associates to come into it, and that was through the Chamber of Commerce. And from us, it's one step after another, and it's been grown. And for us, it was the best thing that ever happened to me to get this into the company, because it's a management structure system. It's not just ISO. It shows how to manage a system yourself.
Can I ask a question, John? You mentioned about people coming in from other countries to work for your company.
Yes.
How did they feel about coming to Ireland? What attracted them to come, apart from your good company, that they obviously got a good opportunity to work for an award-winning company? What has been their experience of coming to live in Wexford, living and working in Wexford?
Well, a lot of them we have 3 South African QSs, and basically they were looking to move, so they were moving to Europe anyway. So they wanted Ireland, and when we had interviewed them through LinkedIn, and we spoken to them back and forward, and they said yes, this is what they wanted to do. So we set up the process. We house them, get everything set up for them, and they moved their whole families over. So it's a big step for them.
But was there, apart from the professional qualifications, all that kind of stuff, I'm wondering, is there any, did it give you any hints as to what makes Ireland attractive versus going to another European country?
I'm not sure. We had this discussion in the office earlier on. I'm not so sure it was the cultural experience we offered them of Father Ted references and various memes that we were giving them to. I'm sure there's South Africans out there that know all about the heritage and poetry of the country. You know what I mean? So we probably need to improve on those things. But certainly, I think what attracted them was, obviously, look, there's a situation in their own country. That's obviously the first thing that leads to this idea coming up. So then when they're picking a country in Europe, they look at Ireland and they see that Ireland is smaller, and there is that little bit more connectivity among people. And particularly the countryside areas, they wanted to live in Wexford. Wexford's a great place to live. You can live anywhere, you might as well live here. And that's what's attracted them to that. Much more affordable than the cities, much easier to get to. Just the lifestyle here is far superior, and they saw that. They can see that, and they can see that it's beautiful. It's countryside region. You're not far from the beach. That's what attracted them. So it was Wexford that attracted them in the main, and that was something that we were we're quite proudly selling Wexford as a location to these guys. But I suppose once they're coming somewhere, they it's about selling Wexford to these staff,
And as I said, it's great to hear. We all hear about corporation tax and what potentially may happen with foreign multinationals and what won't happen. But I'm glad to hear that people want to come here. So it's actually, like a lot of companies will say, they're not coming just because of a corporation tax. They're coming because of what's available to them in terms of workforce and quality of workforce. So it's great to hear that people want to come here. So I'm going to ask one last question. Then, if Emma has anything else, I'm just wondering what's next for your business.
Well, what's next is to continue the expansion. We set up the ISO system, as I said, to be a management system for all sides of this business. So if this business gets to be, multinational corporation, I suppose technically it is a multinational corporation. We're in 2 countries. So when this gets to, the size where it is standing beside some of the biggest companies in the country, that we wanted the management system to stand up to that. So where do I see it going in the next 5 years? I certainly do see us standing up there beside some of the biggest firms in the country. I do see us, we have a Wexford office, we have a Dublin office, we have a London office. I do see those expanding. I do see us working on big projects all around Ireland and in London. The UK is a big place as well, so there might be offices, maybe Manchester, Liverpool as well. I see us expanding, and I see us standing toe to toe with the biggest firms in the country.
Great. No, just I suppose to conclude, for me, really, Ronan, is obviously it's very competitive, very, very competitive market out there. But how do you measure that constant delivery of service day in, day out?
Well, I suppose that's a tough question. I suppose the fact that we have so many customers that I think I can't even think of especially probably 3/4 of our customers are returning customers. And most of our new customers are referred customers from our existing customers. And that's what gives me a lot of heart that we're actually producing for our clients. Part of our operation is that we actually survey our clients every so often and see how they're going, see is there somewhere where we can improve, see is there somewhere where we can offer something better to them. And they value that and they keep coming back to us. But it's about the service, understanding what our clients want and sometimes what they require, which might be different to what they want and what they require. And you have to explain that to them in the best way and the nicest way possible. And it's about giving them what they want, giving them the service that they need, and constantly delivering. You can deliver 12 months and then one thing goes wrong. You can't have that. You have to deliver for that client every single time they pick up the phone. They have to get what they need from you. They have to get the very best of your attentiveness straight away. And I think continuing to do that, and the word continuous improvement is our favourite word in the office, because it's continuous. It's every single day we have to produce for these clients, and every single day we're growing the business. So we have to not only serve the clients that we have to get new clients and continue that on. So I would say that's how we look after those clients, and that's kind of the best measure of that. We do surveys as well, and we got 98% customer satisfaction on one of our first customer surveys, which is a good metric to have.
Absolutely. It's evident you're doing great work up there, and especially with walking home with 2 awards this year.
Amazing,
so again, a huge congratulations to you both and your team.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to talk to you both this morning, and keep up the great work up there. And
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Certainly.
Thanks,
Certainly.
Eds.
Thank you
for coming in.
Thanks for listening to County Wexford Chamber podcast with your hosts Emma Dunphy
I'm Brendan Crowley.